Oshkosh Media is government programming on GovTV, community programming on Life TV, and community radio on Oshkosh FM 101.9.
Welcome to the City Manager's Report, a look at city updates and a preview of the next Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda.
And thanks for joining us for another edition of the City Manager's Report. I'm Andy Radig, and in a moment we'll be joined by City Manager Mark Roloff. As usual, in the first half of today's show, we'll have some municipal news updates, including items from city departments and things happening in Oshkosh. In the second half, we'll highlight items from the upcoming Tuesday, October 11th, Oshkosh Common Council meeting agenda. And with that, we bring in our city manager, Mark Roloff. Mark, thank you for joining us again today.
Great to be here, Andy.
Okay, very good. We have a lot of different things we're talking about today, and top of mind for a lot of folks is getting around town. And one of those arterial streets that everyone seems to be waiting for completion is Algoma Boulevard, and we have a few updates on that.
We sure do, and I want to thank everybody for being so patient, particularly University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh, where their students, faculty, and staff have been negotiating that for quite a while now. But things are going well. The sidewalk, driveway aprons, landscaping, and restorations taking place between Woodland Avenue and Wisconsin Street. So you can see that this is pretty recent video here, and you can see that through the university and even over by the public museum, all the way to that area, things are making really good progress. You can see the street is in decent shape. Sidewalk, curb and gutter still need to get done in those sections, but we've been working on some of the intersections. We actually closed the intersection of New York and Algoma a couple weeks ago. Reed School had a day off, so we took advantage of that and got some quick drying concrete in there. So we're quite pleased with the progress. I always say we'll be done by deer hunting season, but we're definitely on schedule. As we approach Congress Avenue here, we had to do a little bit of work over on the intersection there. So even over by the Payne Arts Center, we had a little bit of work that had to get done. We appreciate the Payne being very cooperative with us as well. So concrete work, paving continues between Woodland and Congress, and so we're seeing very good progress. The weather's been cooperating, which is always helpful, and the university students are behaving themselves in terms of not doing anything that might reverse the progress that we're making. So so far so good, and I think we're on our way to having a very successful project done on time.
Sure, and I drove past that area today, and it looked like they were putting in some landscaping, planting some grass seed, things like that. So it's moving along if they're at that point. So
yeah, sure signs that we're getting near completion.
Okay, very good, and we'll keep everyone updated as progress continues. Okay, and then we also wanted to talk about the Oregon-Jackson Street Bridge. It's not a city-owned bridge, but we just wanted to give an update of what we know at this point. And, we wanted to let people know that we don't necessarily have authority over that bridge and what is done with it in this interim period.
Yeah, and, it's a shame because I think the DOT has been trying to keep everybody informed, but there were some misunderstandings between the vendor and that delayed the project, that the part wasn't even ready yet. To my knowledge, the part wasn't even under getting in production at late September. So they're working on it. The manufacturer now anticipates delivery by mid-November. And once the parts are installed, the components will be tested, the bridge will be reopened to vehicles and pedestrians. So we're constantly keeping in touch with the DOT to get the latest updates, but we're pretty much, the only advantage we have is we might find out a little bit before the public does, but that's about the limit of our knowledge, and certainly not in a position of authority over it, but all we can do is let the DOT know, which we have, that we're very concerned about the delays. That certainly has an impact on the businesses on both sides of the river. The closer you get to the river, the more important the bridge becomes, because people do rely on the bridge to reach those destinations. On the south side on Oregon Street, there's businesses that essentially are closed off from their potential customers on the north side. Similarly, operations like the food co-op, which people trying to still get people used to the fact that it's even there in the first place.
Right.
And people on the south side can't get there conveniently. So it certainly is a challenge, but we're letting the DOT know that we need to get this project done as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm. And as we saw in the video, there's one section of the bridge that is up, and that is to accommodate marine traffic. Do you know if they could simply just lower that section of the bridge?
I know that question's been asked, and from my understanding, the bridge has to remain open the way it is because by law, marine traffic has priority over vehicular and pedestrian traffic. That goes back, literally to the early days of Oshkosh. However, that the bridges do go down permanently for the season on November 1st. But at the same time, there are contractors that make their way up and down the river with barges and things like that, and the DOT has to keep the bridges up, or part of the bridge up, so those businesses can get back and forth. And they're usually done by mid-November. They have to make appointments for the bridge. The reason I'm saying that is because the DOT, to my understanding, is trying to work with those contractors to get them through Oshkosh as soon as possible. Once they get through, the DOT could simply get a crane and put the bridge back down and open it to traffic regardless of the status of the part. And I know they're trying to do that. So we're kind of in a race. I just want it to get done. The race between the part and the businesses getting through there. Whichever one happens first, they'll start getting the bridge open. So that's about all I know at this point. Mm-hmm. And we're going to keep talking about it because I think the community is rightfully dissatisfied with the lack of progress. I wouldn't necessarily blame the DOT, even though the DOT is responsible, but it's just a frustration that we have, especially now with trying to get parts and things of that nature. It's really tough.
Mm-hmm. It is. But it's something we'll keep an eye on and keep everyone updated as best we can. Change of subject, we had a hazmat training that took place on September 26th, and I believe this was held over at the city's wastewater treatment plant area. So we had a lot of different departments involved in this type of training.
Anytime that we're talking about hazardous materials, the fire department is the lead agency for that, and they try to take a look at potential risks and things that could happen and how they would appropriately respond. We did a tabletop exercise a couple years ago, and I think it helped us. But this is an example. Don't worry, that green is just dye or something like that.
It could be Kool-Aid or something.
Yeah, but this is an example of a problem that could occur, and this is actually over by the senior center. So they did a little bit of controlled spill and how you respond, how you make sure that the sewer system doesn't get contaminated, make sure ground doesn't get contaminated. So all these different things that our hazmat crew does, they practice because when an event like this happens, they want to be totally prepared. Mm-hmm. They are given special funding by the state to do this. The state recognizes us as a regional leader in hazmat control, and this is why we work together with our public works, our fire folks primarily for something like this, and they go through, when this happens, this is what we do. And you can see our public works folks and our fire folks working directly together to address the problem, see what it is, and then get it cleaned up and back in operation as soon as possible.
Mm-hmm. And they're working to determine what the substance is in that scenario, contain it, and then find the most effective way to clean it up. So always looking at those different types of training exercises between city departments and sometimes other agencies as well.
Absolutely, and we're really proud of the work they do.
Okay, we wanted to pass along some reminders for the upcoming November 8th election, and I know we especially want to emphasize if people have absentee ballots, and we encourage them to get those completed early.
Right. The best way to do it is to go online at myvote.wi.gov, and you can get you can get a request for an absentee ballot pretty easily there. The absentee ballots may be returned via the U.S. Postal Service or at the city clerk's office in City Hall. You have to physically bring them back to City Hall if you bring them in. We cannot have unstaffed drop boxes used anymore. That's no longer allowed. So please don't do that. They have to drop off their own absentee ballot. So please be aware of that as well. You can't just say, oh, give it to your spouse or your child and say, please drop it off. You have to return it yourself so that they know that it is you. So that's just a couple of the new rules, and I know there's several others that are explained on our website and on My Vote, but there's other rules as well.
There are some exceptions for voters that require assistance because of a disability or other circumstances. So those details are outlined and the specifics that are involved with that. But that is a change from the previous election. And we wanted to pass along also that in-person absentee voting will also be available here at City Hall. Absolutely. So for almost 2 weeks, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. over here at City Hall, through November 4th, you can come and do your voting. No appointments necessary. You must have a photo ID, but the lines might get a little long. I will warn people that they may not want to do that in-person voting because it may take some time, but you can do the absentee through My Vote, and I think that, quite honestly, is aside from going to vote on Election Day, that's probably the easiest way to do it. Very good. All right, and people can always contact the city clerk's office at 236-5011 if you have any questions about the upcoming November 8th election. Okay, another exciting thing, Mark, we wanted to talk about here a little bit is the Oshkosh Public Museum recently opened a new exhibit, and they're bringing a little bit of World War II history to Oshkosh and weaving in some of the Oshkosh connections to World War II.
They sure have. The title of the exhibit is Manufacturing Victory, the Arsenal of Democracy. It's going to be running from now through December 30th. And it's a wonderful collaboration with the National World War II Museum. And the National World War II Museum has a wonderful collection that they have shared with other public museums. So we're so excited to have them here. They explore the home front and the surge of productivity that brought the country out of the Depression and helped us win the war. And as you said, the exhibit is intended to tell a national story, but there's so many different Oshkosh connections that you can explore through this exhibit. And there's a local history section from our own museum collection to share and really enhance Oshkosh's contributions to the war effort, along with the national story that's told with the main exhibit.
And that exhibit does include some items, uniforms, weapons, vehicles that were used by the Army, Navy, and Marines, and the Oshkosh connection with some of those. So
all made right here in Oshkosh.
See one right there.
We did a lot to help the war effort.
And that exhibit runs now through December 30th. So get your tickets in advance at the Oshkosh Public Museum's website and enjoy that exhibit over there. Okay, another seasonal item that we wanted to point out is that curbside loose leaf collection will be starting very soon. We've had some questions about that. And so the trucks will begin moving through the neighborhoods beginning on October 17th.
Yeah, we want to give a little time for the leaves to start to get going. So they're slowly starting, and this is all filmed from last year, so you know that. But the leaves will be picked up on the day after your scheduled garbage collection day, as usual. And that's for leaves only. Please don't put any grass, brush, or garden plants. That's really not what the vacuum does. You can still take that to our site over there on 3rd Avenue if you need to. But pile your leaves on the terrace, not in the street, where stormwater could be disrupted and it could clog stormwater drains. We really don't want that. We can reach back pretty far with I call it our little elephant nose to vacuum everything up. Loose leaf collection will end the week of November 14th through 18th, but starting October 17th, you can start raking your leaves and putting them out there, and we will vacuum them up for you.
And we'll have some reminders about that on our city's social media pages and on the city's website. So if there are any specific questions about that leaf pickup time period, you can call sanitation at 920-232-5383, and they will be glad to answer additional questions that you may have. Okay, and similarly, Mark, another seasonal item is over at Riverside Cemetery. Folks may have some items at their gravesite displays. Those should be cleaned up, picked up before October 17th.
Yeah, this is a 1-week cleanup. It starts on the 17th of October through the October 21st. All flowers and decorations and loose pots will be removed and discarded that week. So please remove any of the items before October 17th if you want to save them or hang on to them for maybe the following year or something like that.
Mm-hmm. That's right. And then if you do have any questions about that in specific, you can call the cemetery's office at 920-236-5092, and they can help you out. But again, that cemetery cleanup week starts October 17th and runs all that week. So you'd like to get your items away from there before October 17th, if at all possible. Okay, and then we wanted to remind folks that we have trick-or-treat hours coming up again, and trick-or-treat Halloween is on Monday, October 31st this year.
Yeah, and whenever we have it during a weekday, the hours are 5 to 7 p.m., so we just want to remind everybody to be aware of that, and have your kids all ready, whatever the weather calls for that day. Hopefully the kids will be able to show their outfits and not their winter jackets, but Monday, October 31st, 5 to 7 p.m.
Okay, and speaking of spooky events and things like that, we also have some fun things happening over at the Menominee Park Zoo, and one of those is a new event this year called Brews in the Zoo, and that is on Friday, October 14th.
We had such success with our Brews on the Bay this last 2 years that we decided to have one for a fall event. It's going to be basically Halloween at the zoo. There's going to be craft beer, food trucks, live music with the group Vitamin R. You can bring costumes, but you must be 21 years of age, of course, to drink or purchase alcohol. But we're excited about that, and hopefully we'll be able to create a tradition. Free admission from 5 to 9 p.m. at the Menominee Park Zoo.
No tickets necessary for that one. But the other event that happens the next day, tickets are required for that one. That is the Zulaween Boo, and this is the 20th annual, if you can believe that.
It really, that's so wonderful, the 20th annual. It's coming Saturday, October 15th, and that'll be from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Menominee Park Zoo. Trick-or-treat stations, costume contests, a lot of great family event, kids games. There is an admission fee because boy is it popular, but there's a fee for adults, and a slightly smaller one for kids at $3, and kids 1 year and under are free.
Mm-hmm. And those tickets can be purchased online on the Parks Department webpage, as you can see there. So you can purchase those tickets online in advance, or you may also pick them up at the Parks Department office, which is temporarily located at the Water Distribution Building, which is at 757 West 3rd Avenue. They're open Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. And you can also pick up tickets the day of the event over at the Menominee Park Zoo, and the admission fees are outlined there on the webpage. So I believe that's all we have time for the first half of the show today, Mark, and it's time for us to take a short break. Stay tuned, and we'll be back with some highlights from the next Common Council meeting agenda. We'll be right back.
Any idea how fast you were going today?
You speed, you lose. Slow it down in Wisconsin, or we'll do it for you. Zero in Wisconsin, a vision we can all live with.
And welcome back to the City Manager's Report. I'm Andy Radig along with City Manager Mark Roloff. Let's turn our attention to the agenda items from the upcoming Tuesday, October 11th, Oshkosh Common Council meeting. And we have different things on the agenda here, Mark. Under consent agenda, we have an item to purchase some replacement firefighting foam for the Oshkosh Fire Department. I believe that this is to replace some of the foam that had the PFAS contaminant.
Yeah, the state of Wisconsin has basically called in all of the previous firefighting foam that may contain PFAS. The state will collect that and take it away and properly dispose of it, however it is done to make sure it's environmentally friendly. But there's a replacement foam that does not contain PFAS that is on our own to purchase, and so we're going to do that. So we still have firefighting foam without the environmental risk that goes along with the old foam.
Mm-hmm. Okay, all right. And then we have another item also under the consent agenda for an emergency generator over at the Oshkosh Public Library. And I guess I didn't realize that the public library actually had a need for a backup generator.
Well, they don't have any emergency power whatsoever. So, anytime there's a power failure that, they have pumps in their basement and they have computers that are available to the public. Having a backup generator for the library is very important and was something that was identified in a security assessment. So we're working with the library to get that done, and we've acquired the generator itself. Now it's just about the installation of it. So we're happy to get that done and lessen the risk over at the public library.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's good that foresight is being planned there for that. Okay, moving along under new resolutions on the agenda, we have approval of an agreement for development over at West 9th Avenue, and I believe this is a coffee shop?
Yeah, this is at the corner of Washburn and 9th Avenue, the old, I believe, Huntington Bank or Citizens Bank, depending on which bank you may or may not have gone to over there. But it's right at that corner, directly across from Perkins, and it's going to be a Scooter's Coffee Shop. That's a newer chain, but they've got some renderings here of what they're planning to do out there, and we're excited to have a new establishment over in that area. And it got reviewed by the Plan Commission, and now it's the general development plan. So not all the details, but it's about sprucing up that corner and putting a little liveliness over there. So we're excited to see a new thriving business come to Oshkosh.
Always exciting to see a new business come to town, and it looks pretty neat. So we'll be watching that one. All right, and then we also have under new resolutions authorized purchase of 211 High Avenue.
Yeah, I think over time our plans, different development plans, have called for taking a look at that block along High Avenue between High and Pearl and between Division Street and Jackson Street, and trying to address it. So this property is on the market. We feel it could represent some great redevelopment opportunities in that area. And you start with one property, and this is the one property we're starting with because it's on the market. And hopefully we will see progress in the next few years as we acquire more properties in that area and essentially land bank it. Sometimes it takes a long time before we get around to it because other properties are still being used. But staff and I feel that this is an appropriate acquisition, and we're going to go ahead with it. I will say that the Redevelopment Authority did not go along with this purchase, and staff believes strongly enough that it should be considered that we're bringing it to council for their consideration.
Mm-hmm. Having grown up in Oshkosh, I've seen that oftentimes where it takes a while that, the city purchases a property here and there, but the overall vision is there, and then it comes into being. So.
Yeah, you think of Marion Road, you think of the Sawdust District. Yeah, it was all those. Patience pays off, and you often don't see it with the first step.
Right.
But later on, you're like, oh yeah, this was so easy. No, it's a lot of work, and I applaud the staff for having the foresight to say, this is a property we should acquire right now.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. And then we also have under new resolutions the approval of the 2023-24 strategic plan. And this is an update to our strategic plan.
It is, but I think it represents a great effort in collaboration between the staff and the city council. Staff did a lot of preparation work in advance, and then had a day-long retreat with the city council to identify what do we need to reprioritize. And we still have the same basic goals, our strategic goals, and this is a little graphic that kind of explains it, but us being effective at what we do, the effectiveness of government kind of drives these other things, but it's quality of life and infrastructure, public health and safety, strengthening neighborhoods, and economic development. So council has reaffirmed that through the retreat, and then adopting the strategic plan. We're preparing the 2023 budget with these goals in mind. And so the departments will talk to council about what goals they're trying to achieve and how they tie in with the strategic plan.
Mm-hmm. And I guess if I could slide in a little plug, if folks might watch the 2022 State of the City program, that really highlighted these areas and really drew a lot of attention to those individual areas.
Yeah, a real popular term you hear out these days is about priority-based budgeting. And while we don't have anything that we do directly that we call priority-based budgeting, this is really what that is. It's setting goals, prioritizing them, and then allocating resources to that. That's essentially what we've been doing for over 12 years now, and I'm really proud that the staff and the council have worked so well together. And we've had quite a turnover in departments, heads, and council members, but that consistency remains, and I'm really proud of the work that we're doing, and that we're going to keep doing, as we talked about at State of the City, and we're going to keep doing it moving forward.
Okay. And speaking of budgeting, we have some budget workshops that are coming up on October 17th and 18th, and those are with council, and I believe those are more or less all-day sessions.
They are. I'll be delivering the budget to the council just before the meeting on Tuesday, October 11th, so they'll have a week to kind of take a look at it, and then all-day workshops with the department heads, and then get direction from council before final adoption. We're really planning that for November 9th. So they'll have a few weeks before they consider the budget and adopt it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Then later on, we have under the city manager announcements, there is an item for a downtown visualization plan. And I believe that this is another step in a process that has been moving along.
Yeah, some folks may recall there was a report from 20 years ago, a downtown action plan. It was an LDR report. This is really the successor to that, because we've developed this Imagine Oshkosh plan, but no visualization to really kind of get around what we're going to, what we really want to see in the downtown area. One of the biggest items that came out of the LDR report, to give you an idea of what this can accomplish, this is what got us Opera House Square and the Leach Amphitheater. That's that type of vision. And so the idea is, what types of things do you want to see and achieve over the next 10 to 20 years? That's what this is about, specifically for the downtown. So I want to thank the partners with us on this. Oshkosh Area Community Foundation, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, Chamber of Commerce, the Greater Oshkosh Economic Development Corporation. All those groups are participating in this, so we really appreciate their collaboration with us to put this plan out.
Mm-hmm. Well, and it's an important part of the city, and important to have that vision.
Yeah. Well, I have one more announcement as well. The historic 6th Ward Neighborhood Association was created, and I want to make sure we say thanks to them, congratulations to them. It really hugs up against the river and the old Geldwin site and the Boatworks property. So excited that the Neighborhood Association has come together, and look forward to working with them.
All right, very good. And people can find more information about those neighborhood associations on the city's website. There's a lot more information there about starting an association in your area. Okay, Mark, thank you very much for your insights today. We appreciate all your insights.
It's always a pleasure, Andy.
All right, very good. And thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it. Again, that Oshkosh Common Council meeting is at 6 p.m. this Tuesday, October 11th at City Hall, 215 Church Avenue. You can watch that live on GovTV, which is Spectrum Channel 10, UVerse Channel 99, and streaming on YouTube and OshkoshMedia.org. Or you can listen to it on the radio on Oshkosh FM 101.9 99, which is also online and on the TuneIn Radio app for phones and tablets. And you can also use your favorite streaming device to watch on television. And please remember to join us again in 2 weeks for another City Managers Report. Thanks for checking in with us.